Hey everybody, this is Petey from the Spin Rack, and we also have
Calvin Ellis ready to rock.
today we're going to talk about Phase 5. And what are you, huh?
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
What are you looking forward to in Phase 5? That means we always welcome questions, answers, and responses. And let's see what's out there. And here we go. Look at the level of talent that's out here, right? We've already seen Quantumania, the launch. We got Secret Invasion coming, Guardians of the Galaxy, Echo, Loki Season 2, The Marvels, which has been pushed back to November, Blade, which I think I had they said there were some struggles there too, so that's probably being pushed back. We got Ironheart, and we have Agatha, Daredevil Born Again, and Captain America New World Order. What are you liking here?
First thing, if you're asking me what I would like to see in Phase 5, I would like to see a return to form as was done in Phase 3 and totally ignore all of the missteps of Phase 4. We're just going to get back to some really high octane storytelling, some good crowd pleasing moments, some good feel good moments, and reestablishing the characterization that made these films so much fun to watch in the first place. Now, that being said, with this new slate that they have here, oh man.
Don't
Well,
sound so enthused.
Quantumania I already saw. I'm already on record for that one. I am interested in Echo, Marvels. I will. I didn't like Loki, so I could care less about the second season. Daredevil, yes, and of course Captain America: New World Order. I do not. I want Anthony Mackie to prove me wrong that he has leading man capability because I just don't see it. But hey, he's Captain America. Let's see if he can pull it off.
Okay, that's interesting. Um, just got some negative response from some buddies of mine, and so I don't want this time. I feel like I might be going the same route, but I guess it feels like the Guardians not that cashed in with Echo, but Marvels is something that I was interested in. I want to see if hopefully that's okay. And of course, Daredevil Born Again, where they slowly been slotting new characters in what's that, Vanessa, and they got a director now from the Dexter series. So stuff is happening. So yeah, hoping the Guardians is good. But let's go to the Guardians. I didn't know the brother that was in there was the High Evolutionary. Did you know that?
Say that again.
The black guy that's in there. He's a
Which
High Evolutionary.
which
There's,
black guy?
there's a villain that's running around in there, and that's the High Evolutionary.
Villain running around and where? There's a whole bunch of shows.
In Guardians of the Galaxy,
He's the High Evolutionary.
I thought he was the guy who appeared in the 2 seconds. No, he appeared in a whole issue of what's that thing? Nick Fury, Agent of Shield. He was like this guy that was trying to do world domination. He gets turned into like a some sort of weird organism. It was kind of throwback to a character that was in an EC thing. But someone just told me that was a High Evolutionary, and I was like, well, the High Evolutionary is he's like the Magneto before the Mag. He was like on the edge. He had some elements. He created some bad things, but overall, it seemed like he had some good in him. He was like a really compelling character.
I don't
So
understand the new rule now that any character that wore a mask in the Marvel universe is now black. Kang, High Evolutionary. They're talking about Doctor Doom. Anybody who had their face covered up is black now. Even though we know these characters were white,
well,
that's that is. I mean, I have to admit, with the exception of, I mean, there are certain characters I don't really. It doesn't matter at the end of the day. That's just the nature of things. However, you're starting to set these particular patterns. And then as a comic reader, it becomes, oh, I should be able to identify these characters. And then somebody's telling me that's the High Evolutionary. Like, it is? Since when did that happen?
Yeah, I mean, um, that's the that's the the weird part about it. So I'm not. That's the even though they've had decent steps, I don't think that you can do a Ronan the Accuser type of thing with the High Evolutionary because he's always been on edge. Like they did, what was it, the Evolutionary War? And in some stories, he was a good guy. In other stories, he was. It's really crazy that those crossovers, even though I didn't buy all of them, was kind of worn out from the X-Men crossovers, buying all of those. So when it came to the Marvel ones, it was pick the ones with the art and the talent that I liked. And and seeing him, he'd always most of the stories I'd seen him in, he wasn't, regretfully he created the Man Beast, who's one of the Marvel characters that's been messing up the Marvel universe for years. But I don't know. So yeah, it's for me. I'm just hoping that's going to be good. I can't really say too much because at this there's
Is he
so
gonna,
many. Hmm?
is he going to keep his mask on for the majority of the movie?
I don't think the mask is done, man. I think because of the aspect of Marvel and these actors, the only person that would do that is the guy who played the Red Skull, who did the same thing in V for Vendetta, where he was okay with wearing a mask. So every other actor, and this goes for heroes and villains, they will not keep their mask on. They are like the way Captain America was when he first was introduced, where he immediately in the Marvel universe in the '60s, he would constantly pull his mask off. Where Spider-Man would do it in places where he couldn't be seen. Everyone else has to have. Well, they do the. I always liken it to Dave Cockrum doing the what's the name, the new X-Men, where he took away the mask. But that's of course a thing of obviously initially Superman, but then the Legion had a group of heroes where they didn't have masks on. So it's carrying on that tradition of where you had a secret identity. They're so far against the secret identity, they can't have this guy who's like, I think there's one comic book, I think it was a Hulk comic book where he took his mask off and he looked like Bruce Banner. So, it's like,
But Marvel was already on that kick with like Stan Lee, where he didn't want to use costumes, he didn't want to use the mask, and only to find out, yeah, these things actually work. So, you
yeah.
know, we got to put them in here to some extent because if not, we're drawing faces, and it's easier to draw the mask face than it is to draw the faces all the time. And we got to trademark these dudes. We can't trademark the faces, but we can trademark these people in these outfits and masks. That's a lot easier at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I mean, the High Evolutionary. This is a guy who's always in his mask, always. Every comic you've ever seen him in, it would be hard for you to. It would be really hard pressed to find a comic where the High Evolutionary is unmasked the entire story. That's going to be really rare. So for me, you're taking me out of the whole thing. I shouldn't even know. I shouldn't even know the race of this guy, to be quite honest, with the exception of the times where they might have shown like an origin, and even then I wasn't necessarily seeing his face. So a lot of this stuff just takes it. As a long-time comic reader, I have to admit, I don't like the changes because I would look forward to being able to recognize some of these people in film or when they make these cameos. And now because they're just so off the wall with some of the stuff that they're doing, I was like, okay, really? And then you already said it. Nobody wants to wear a mask. People don't want to wear outfits. They all come up with like the Marlon Brando excuses as to why I don't need to do this and try to talk people so they can do less. Like, yeah, does Jor-El really need to be in these scenes? I mean, it's an alien. He could just be like a little box talking, right? That's where we're going. We're going with the Bendis, we're going with the Bendis writing and the talking box that Marlon Brando tried to get away with.
Yeah.
Hmm.
He did give us the S. He did give us the S where people constantly say that was a part of the original story. He always had the S, the family, the L thing. So
Uh, you can go back to the early. If you go back to the earliest stories, they did try to put that people on Krypton did walk around with like with crests Like it's some,
Wilson had the son.
yeah,
Had the son.
other people be walking around, and so it was just kind of like maybe more happenstance than anything else. Okay, well, Superman has an S. Like, oh look, there's Kismet. Some parallelism we got going over there, but not that that whole family crest thing is Superman the movie.
Yeah, which I think they need to give it its due when they bring that up. But anyway, the hard part is, well, no, I think Agatha, they already did the what's that thing? They did the, well, no, we've seen what's the name. We never saw who's that chick? We never saw Aunt Petunia. So there was a room to do that in the comics. Not really in the movies, but
I can only imagine what Aunt Petunia would look like in this Marvel universe. She's supposed to be hot, and here Aunt Petunia would look like Aunt May, the old one.
She looked like freaking Granny Goodness.
That's where they got it wrong. Aunt May is supposed to look older, and we should have had Aunt Petunia, and that should have been Marissa Tomei.
Dude, that would have been crazy. That would have been crazy. And the idea, well, that's because that was a bit, because they said the truth. I know people still go around there and they, for some reason, flip out, but Stan Lee got a whiff that they were introducing Aunt Petunia, and he was like running back to the to Marvel, and then he saw the comic and he was like, okay, yeah, that's how we do it. We wouldn't give them what they expected, type of thing. But he was like, oh God, I can't. And then he started writing in his fan letters to the book, because at that point he was reading it. He was still reading the book regularly. But looking at this, Captain America is the hardest thing, because I don't want him. Well, no, I don't like. I think there's a lot of more. I think there's a lot of stuff they left on the table with Steve Rogers, and they did these team up movies where the Winter Soldier, it became all about his friendship with the Winter Soldier type of thing from the beginning. To you can see that as far as the story, but then saying there could be more Captain America Avengers stories rather than just Avengers stories. But we've gotten here. So I looked at some old Captain America comic books, and I'm just like, oh my goodness, we got the freaking Operation Rebirth. We got him against his Baron Blood. We got all the Steve Rogers stuff that doesn't really fit with the Anthony Mackie Falcons thing, and it doesn't, trying to do this Captain America where the Captain America is kind of the public face of being a superhero. It's kind of tough for me having the Falcon as that, and I like the Falcon as his own character. Not to say that you could they did a TV show, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, so you could have done more of that, but they want to have him as Captain America. So I don't know what is that could have been a Sam Wilson story. Now we're going to try to shoehorn Anthony Mackie's Falcon into the Captain America role. We'll see how it goes, and if it isn't something as big, even though you have Winter Soldier and maybe a couple other characters, what can you say if the people don't go with it? But I don't know if you're going to get Sam Wilson story out of this, and where you feel like this is a solely his story, and with feeling like there's still a lot of stuff on the table for like with Spider-Man, there's a bunch of his villains out there, like this, that, and the other. But for some of the other stuff, it was kind of like his first big villain and his the 2000 challenge of the Winter Soldier type of thing. So it's like the bookends of his career in comics and movies. So I worry about that. I have no expectation of Secret Invasion, because I don't, with all of the other actors kind of being out of the picture, and what's that thing? What's that movie? Endgame kind of already doing characters running into the other characters. You don't get to do what Stan Lee's and Jack Kirby's approach to the Skrulls were, is that the Skrulls become the coolest characters in the story, the characters you want to see, the team ups you want to see happen. And you're like, wow, this guy's in there. Oh, damn it, it was a Skrull. You trick the audience in a way where you play off of what they want to see. Like, oh, like, and I guess for the kids who were reading the Fantastic Four, if they got to the second issue and they were just like, wait a second, they're bad guys. They look kind of rough in the first one. Oh, wait a second, these are imposters type of deal. These are those aliens. But there's a little bit of mystery if you look at those for that first story. And I think in reading it as a kid, I did have that feel like, what is going on here? Like, this is the second issue and they already went bad. Oh, okay, these are Skrulls. These are those guys. So, and it's so integral to the story and what came next. I'm not sure they'll be able to play it, but it's and having them be good Skrulls, where it was like maybe two or three good Skrulls, and the rest of them, just love being villains. They love being terrible. They hated humans, and it was just such a fun thing. But to that is gets the terrible two-dimensional two-dimensional villains type of deal, where it's like sometimes you just like someone who's just mean and nasty, and the race and the tribe of people that are totally mean and nasty and out for global conquest. But at the same time, I think I think there's a Burns Submariner story where he's fighting a super Skrull, and the bad human is like, I'm gonna be dating. Yeah, I'm gonna get the most beautiful woman on the planet. And it's like, what is the most beautiful woman to a Skrull? And it's like, Super Skrull, you screwed me over. And then you'd forget that the Skrulls babes were still babes, and she could become anything you want. So it's just like the fun aspect to them. But anyway, yeah, I don't know. This Phase 5, getting back to, as going what you said, getting back to what it was. Maybe with Born Again, well, I like from what I last saw, because I recently watched the episode with Bullseye, and Bullseye is it was in Born Again, where someone adapted his identity, and I think the TV version kind of made it where this guy's a formidable adversary, where he can't beat up Daredevil, but he can use his aiming ability to put Daredevil through some hoops. So it'd be interesting to see if they can keep the thing together. But they have most of the main peoples there, so it should be fun. So I'm hoping for, what is it, five out of the mix of these things. Am I lying? Yeah, I guess five. I'm kind of think Ironheart's a little early, and I didn't really like the fact that Ironheart was had a little thug in her, a little rough and tumble. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not with it. I thought it was going to be like a fun character, but I guess she'll be different from the rest of the Avengers of plucky sort of kids. So, I guess that's about it. Any other thoughts?
I mean, notwithstanding the stuff that I am looking forward to, I'll probably tune it in. I just hope that they take a better tack with this particular phase. I thought the last one just ran off the rails too often. I mean, literally, this is like the train ran off the rails. They put it back on, ran it off the other side. It was like left, right, run off on purpose. So and I know they're capable of doing a better storytelling than what they did. A lot of it just seemed set up for this phase. So you got all of your setup. Let's see the execution happen. But yeah, we will find out. We will find out at the end of the day.
Okay. So I guess that's about it. Spinner Rack
out.